I'm Luke Storey. For the past 22 years, I've been relentlessly committed to my deepest passion, designing the ultimate lifestyle based on the most powerful principles of spirituality, health, psychology, and personal development. The Lifestylist Podcast is a show dedicated to sharing my discoveries and the experts behind them with you. Jos Daniel.
Yes.
Oh, man, I'm excited to chat with you.
Yes.
All right, so for context for the people listening, I'm out here in LA for the first time in a very long time. I go to have a little get-together of us health nuts over at the Transformational Healing Universe on South Robertson with my friend Hari. And a couple months ago, he had texted me this methylene blue product.
Right.
And I went to the site, and it wasn't yet available. And he's like, no, I got a pre-order sample of it. And whenever he tells me anything that he's really excited about, I know it's going to be legit. I mean, I just trust him. We're two, uber geeks in this area. And he goes, nothing has ever turned my brain on like this. So I'm about to walk out at the end of the night, and then I meet Jos here. And he's like, hey, man, I want you to try something. Come back. And I was like, oh, this is the stuff Hari was telling me about.
Right.
So you gave me a cup of this, and everyone else was drinking it, but it was late at night.
Yeah.
And I was nervous about not being able to sleep from the energy. So I came home, and I got not enough sleep as I would prefer. And I went to bed, I don't know, maybe at 1 and woke up at 7. And I had it sitting on the nightstand. I was like, all right, this is a perfect test because I'm tired as shit.
Right.
I'm not going to drink anything else, no water, no supplements or anything. And I just had that, and I went outside, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to see what happens. And I was like, oh my God, my brain is lit up like I just slept for 9 hours.
Oh, yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So you guys listening, I just thought, I know very little about Jos.
Right.
But I know what happened when I drank that thing, and then started talking to you subsequently after that and learned that you're onto all kinds of super far out shit. So I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks.
What we're going to talk about will be determined where this goes because I have very few notes, but I do have kind of a knack for finding really interesting people, and sometimes I just have a gut feeling like we need to podcast. So thank you for being here.
This is my very first podcast.
Yes, I love that.
I have never done a podcast in my life.
I love that. That's perfect. Well, you did send me one of your videos. Yeah,
that was one I made on my own. So
and I watched probably 20 minutes of it, and I said, he can definitely carry at least an hour, you know, so we'll be good. So let's start out, Jos, with your background here in Hollywood, working in special effects, and tell me a bit about, your career and what led you to innovating like you do now.
Actually, it was the first one of the first computer animators in Hollywood. I'm actually the very first person to be certified in Adobe After Effects. Not that I wanted to be, it was happened. I hack everything. Doesn't matter what it is. Biohack, computer hack, every hack. So I was using Adobe After. This is going to turn into a computer program. I was using it when it was called COSA, which I always thought was a great name for a company of science and art. I was using it when it was that. Then a company called Aldous at the time bought it and renamed it to After Effects. And then Adobe bought Aldous and turned it into Adobe After Effects. So I was using it consistently. I was using it before Adobe was using it. And then one day I get a call from their the team at Adobe. They said, hey, we just put together a certification program for people to be certified as, educators to whatever for Adobe. Could you go take it for us? Because I was the guy calling them in, giving them tips on how to fix it, bugs. And so I went down and took it. I barely passed it. I was like, whoever wrote this stuff, if I barely passed it, I don't know, nobody's going to pass it. Anyway, I've always been hacking stuff. And I started, the reason why I got hired so fast in Hollywood for a lot of different things, I just bought the $30,000 SGI. At the time it was called Discrete Logic, but they had Flame, Flint, Fire, this whole out of Montreal compositing system. And then there was the 3D modeling prisms. But I kind of gravitated towards the compositing. I started out doing video editing on the Avid system, but then this After Effects I was just fascinated by it. Now I know why, because it's just the way the algorithms. I'm still doing the same career. I haven't switched. Instead of when you're making a movie with scanning, I was working with it was fascinating, all the top 3D model builders, and because at the time there was no one any good who could actually build 3D models in a computer. So we'd scan it, we could hire a traditional Hollywood model builder, scan that and then print it out. So we're always in and out, digital manipulating whatever we wanted with algorithms and printing it out to film models, whatever. So there's always this input outputs. Anyway, while all of that world is going on, I never was really into coffee. It always made me jittery, and I didn't like energy drinks. I just didn't like the edge it gave me. So a lot of these sets, they have different consultants on there to make sure we're building the spaceship correctly. And we'd, the joke was, you just know a little bit about electrical engineering, plumbing, carpentry, just enough, jack of all trades, master of none, because it built it. Uh, oh, we can turn it on again. On the side, there's two buttons
Yep.
and just hit it. And I'll turn it back on.
For those of you that aren't watching
Yes.
this, we're discussing this light here.
Here, I'll do it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed it immediately when it turned on. Oh, okay, got it.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
That one has two settings. That's the 660 and 850 far infrared. We'll get into that later.
For those that are just listening, we have a red light panel in here that is absolutely magical. Is that going too much in your eyes?
Yeah, turn a little. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right. I don't mind. It's great. I'm getting,
It's interesting. I actually don't find sometimes with the red light panels, if they're, if I'm doing the therapy, then I just close my eyes. But
Right.
if I have my eyes open, like the flicker or something, I find a little bit irritating. This doesn't really bug my eyes.
No, because it's all frequency enhanced.
Okay, we'll get into that. But anyway, so back to your.
Because we're doing that, so they had these. Usually, they had NASA consultants. This one occasion they had. I don't know what. Who knows how they got there? Whatever. Some Russian. And I was like, I'd like to start a big Trekkie, sci-fi junkie. Like Picard, Earl Grey tea from the replicator, boom, drink. I was like, we have, like $1 billion worth of server farms. This is when, way back when Pixar was just render man. It was just a render, but there was no 3D animation. We had, massive amounts of server farms just rendering. It's like, why can't I just render my own energy drink? We have lasers here and all kinds of interests. So just get the water, create a render 3D engine of some kind that I just grab the algorithm of what the sun is, because like if you want energy, it's just the sun. Just get hydrogen. Just so I could make a pure energetic hydrogen drink. They all thought I was completely nuts and out of my mind, and I really didn't care. And these Russian guys were, oh yeah, we have that in the cosmonaut program. I was like, really? They're like, oh, absolutely. I said, where's the technology? So they told me all about it. I immediately told my boss, I got to go. See you later. They couldn't fire me because they needed me. And I just disappeared. I went over and tracked down what they had going on, and left the country and saw what it was doing. So what they were doing is reading the data. So the cosmonaut would go up and it was called, in a way, like a laser sonar. So it would ping the cosmonaut, come back, and it would have all the data about their vitals just from that. So when I made the first DVD for MGM, because I know about at the time read write lasers. So if you're able to read, they're missing the magical part. That means you could write. So came back immediately, set up a lab, and put together a frequency system of hydrogen. Got some water, and the first version with laser imprinting and some structured water, high vibrational, spin dynamic. And fortunately, I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrical engineer. I had the concept, but I knew people who were from the film business. I said, just build it this way. And I did tell them I had to leave on a because it's still working. I told them, whatever you do, don't drink any of this water. Now, there was no additives. It was just, they're just building what they think plumbing, but a lot of wires and cords and, electrical devices they really didn't understand. Then I come back and the one guy was there and there's a big pitcher of the water with us. What are you doing? That's like, how much of that have you drank? He was like, like all day long we were drinking. I was like, you're gonna have a lot of energy. He was up for 3 days straight from drinking just water.
Really?
Yeah, just water. I was like, well, it's definitely working. So I started making 5-gallon jugs of the stuff and taking it over.
So, and it was essentially hydrogen water?
There was no physical hydrogen in it. It was just
okay.
vibrating at the rate of hydrogen.
Got it. Okay. So you could identify the frequency of hydrogen and imprint that into the water. Because if it was the hydrogen gas, it would just dissipate.
It would dissipate. Yeah. So then I had that going before. people are putting physical hydrogen in water. So that
Okay.
came out. I was like, well, that's going to be a joke. Or I mean, it's nice. Hydrogen enriched water is fantastic. I'm not putting it down.
Yeah.
However, it's hard because hydrogen is the lightest atomic element. And as soon as you make it, it goes out. That could be a whole other 3 hour talk on hydrogen and water. And energetically, we don't have to worry about that because it's in there, uh, energy frequency wise. However, over time, because water is a liquid crystal, the frequency pattern would dissipate. And I had people, I set this whole factory up. I had to sell a 16-ounce bottle of it for $7. It made zero money. I mean, the thing was like going negative. uh, this is people are spending $300. It was whatever, $300, $300+ a case plus $50 shipping, and I was putting in glass bottles that made it heavy. I was putting it in wine crates so it wouldn't break. Bottles are still breaking. I had people buying 5, 10 cases. They're spending thousands of dollars shipping this water around all over the place, all over the country. It was so heavy carrying this around. And people would call and complain. The bottles would break and all that. I'd replace it. And then I came to like this aha moment. And I was like, stupid me. They're not buying this because they want water. They're buying it for the result they're getting. And so water's everywhere. I got a better idea. Create a solid state crystal, like a microprocessor, USB stick chip would actually be more accurate. Put the program in there. Then I shipped a little lightweight crystal additive. Then they add to their water, and boom, they got the same thing. So then that's how this
Oh,
began.
that's what this one is.
Yeah,
Okay. For those just listening, we're talking about something called celluvation
youth.
youth.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Cellular rejuvenation beauty crystals, which
Great.
I have not tried this one yet. We'll get into
Yeah.
the methylene blue thing that I
Right.
did try.
That was the first product, the
Okay.
evolution. So,
Okay.
so I put a blend of 100. I thought, okay, well, now we have like bandwidth to move. DOS version 1 we got done. Let's now expand the palette of what we could add in here, the color palette, and think of Adobe Photoshop. Now I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still compositing layers of images. Like in one frame of film, we would have up to over 300 layers of 4K film, all that crunch that. I'm still kind of doing the same thing. So one vibrational layer is hydrogen. So I thought, let's start adding some other ones. So amino acids, glutathione, vitamin C. To build collagen, you need key ingredient is copper, uh, lysine, glycine, proline, vitamin C, and it has to be completely bioavailable, high active vitamin C. Most vitamin C isn't. So anyway, we don't have to worry about that because they're. So when I was putting the formula together, I'm thinking like a computer programmer. I'm delivering information. So the first thing I thought, I need to find some really. You never hear this from anyone else. I was like, I need to find some really good dirt. You'll never find a formulator. What do you? They start their conference. I know I need to find really good dirt. I want dirt with all of the rare earth minerals in it. No, I don't need much, but just a little nano size of the mineral, so I could lock a program onto it for that quantum vibrational setup going on. And after talking to a lot of different people into dirt geologists and farmers and you name it, it was Africa. For example, moringa, it comes from two main places. Well, Africa and also India. The moringa from Africa is always going to be better because it has the better mineral content. There's actually gold in that soil. It's incredible. So the moringa from Africa, not that I don't even have a moringa product, but it pulls just very nano sized particles of the gold up in the plant. And you're gonna have it's like two, even though it's the same plant, you're gonna have completely two different responses from that. So obviously, moringa's growing there. I thought, well, I don't want to do that because there's already moringa everywhere. There's 101 companies selling that, so we'll forget that one. It's not unique. So then I found there's baobab, this a giant fruit tree. It looks like out of the Avatar movie. This giant fruit pod, and I don't know why this isn't more famous, but it's loaded with just that by itself is loaded with calcium, magnesium. They've been using it for thousands of years. Then I came across red bush tea, otherwise known as rooibos. They say it over there, rooibos,
Yeah.
rooibos, Roy. I called you rooibos, and they call and it's the rooibos is this. And this rooibos will only grow in this one region in South Africa. That one region in South Africa near the Cape is the most biodiverse place on earth. Nowhere else on Earth. All these things grow in such that region because that soil is so unique. They tried to they rooibos will not grow anywhere else in the world. They tried
Really?
except this one region in Africa.
Really?
That's it. And it's like this scrawny little bush, all wiry, and I'm like, you're like, how does it even grow there? Uh, and the Dutch boer farmers have this thing figured out like a science. And I was like, well, which one do I go with? I don't know. They're both so good. So I'm thinking Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic. I'm like, well, one's kind of, scrawny, red and copper and deep roots. So that would be like very wiry and hot, and the other is like this white, fluffy, giant pod powder. So well, that'd be like kind of the yin and the yang. So I was like, why don't we use both? And I called the best supplier I got in contact with over there. I've been working with ever since. I said, has anyone ever mixed these two together? She's like, no. I'm like, in thousands of years, no one's combined robust. No, never. I've never heard of that. So well, I'm going to do it because I think they complement each other. So anyway, those became the base of this. They're really good. They have a lot of interesting health benefits, but the main reason was the mineral content in the soil. So once I got those, added you could think, the base of the science is we can't change matter, but we can change the way matter behaves. A chemist physically will say the rooibos and baobab are rooibos and baobab, and you belong in a mental institution. like
Welcome
Laura,
to the Lifestylist podcast. This is
like Laura Connor, Terminator. What's she talking about? Here he is. Uh, so yeah, it is. But we're quantum physics wise. What I'm formulating with is chemistry, quantum physics, electrical engineering, computer science. So we're using those four sciences together to get the job done. I don't care how we get there or if anyone believes it or not. I just want it to work. That's it. So you could call it, I got the real ingredients. No, I'm not a doctor. I'm a science geek, computer geek, hacking geek, whatever you want to call it. So I started going to some very high end medical conferences. One thing I'm very good at. I could walk into a room with 1,000 people, and within like a nanosecond, I'll know who the geniuses are. So I found them, and I started having them download. I want to know everything about the best anti aging ingredients because I'm just cut, copy, paste. That's it.
yeah.
And so I got I put the first version together. A friend of mine, she formulates all the top collagen products. And I said, I think what is going to be the world's best collagen product ever with no collagen in it. It's 100% plant based. I said, let me know what you think. And she took it for 40 days. And then I checked in on her. She's amazing. She said, this product, just let you know, outperformed any collagen product I've ever seen in my life. And yours has zero collagen because your body's making its own natural collagen. Then she did recommend we need to add some more collagen frequencies to that to put it over the edge. So we did that. So anyway, so it's just like a light tea. There's no caffeine in here. It's just basically a tea. It works best in hot water, not from a microwave for obvious reasons. So now everything, because I'm a neural basket case or whatever. My brain is so non-neural typical. It's insane. With OCD, Asperger's, and every other imaginable. But when I was doing computer animation, my boss said, I don't know how you do it, but you by yourself outperform the entire department of 30 people. How are you? Well, I'm like, when
Wow.
you're just wired different, you just like become the computer,
Right.
It's kind of, you just, so anyway, going on with all of that, got that. Yeah, we got, so that one, brain. So I thought, because we have some bandwidth available in there. So I'm like, let's maximize it, be efficient. To me, I'm thinking like this is the anti-aging plug-in. Talk about a reference to a health product. So I thought let's put in some brain frequencies. So split the brain up, lower brain, you get limbic. So fight or flight, sympathetic, parasympathetic. So I got some really good frequencies to chill that out. So it gets people calm, clarity, focus. You're not in that like hyper, you're just chilled out. And it did and I needed it. I made this for me. It's like I need this. So that's what's going on with that. And
Wait,
then
let me back you up here. So essentially, if I understand this right, what you're doing is you're able to capture the frequency of different compounds, different
mhm,
molecules, right? And then essentially imprint them into physical matter.
Correct. A physical
right? So that you
substrate.
don't have to have these, you've got a list of a bunch of
Right.
ingredients here. You don't actually have to have them physically
I call it
there.
digital ingredients.
Okay.
So one ingredient, rooibos, can behave physically. It's physically rooibos, but at the same time, it's also behaving like ascorbic acid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What a
Quantum entanglement.
what
Yeah.
a trip.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
a whole new realm of formulation.
And for some people listening, this is probably hard to grasp, and this
Yeah.
is this is always the challenge I have, like with my
Right. Yeah.
Leela necklace. Just different things that I feel the effects of. I know they work. There's testing that can show, for example, improvements in someone's biology through their HRV, through live blood cell
Right.
analysis. You can have the absence of a product or a device and get someone's biometrics. You introduce the product or device, their biometrics improve, right? So there's a quantifiable kind of physical or biological provable effect,
Right.
but you can't really explain because it's in the quantum kind of
Right.
pre-matter realm.
Right.
You can't technically quote unquote prove it. You can just see that there's a result from it. And to me this is like always frustrating because I totally believe in this realm, and I understand that you also can't prove the energy of love, but you can feel it when you walk
Oh,
in a room,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? So
Right.
it's like I'm trying to find a way always on this show to kind of bridge the analytical critical thinker, which I very much
Oh, yeah.
respect,
Yeah. That's what you
and
want to.
the heart-based, intuitive, empathy-driven person that just, is able to feel energy and things like that. And I think we're at a really, interesting time right now, especially in the realm of alternative health and also the fields of spirituality and consciousness, where we're seeing this merge and we're having people like you that are kind of bringing in the hard science,
Right.
right? But you're also open to the spiritual realm and inviting that
Right.
in
Oh,
and
absolutely.
creating this amalgam. But
Yeah.
I'm always like, God, how do we
I.
get this through to people? Because, and this is the last thing I'll say,
Yeah.
is that anyone could, hand me a little packet of
Right.
powder and say, this is quantum energy and it
Yeah.
has this and that. And that, like, there's no way that I can know that because if I put this under a microscope or test it, then I'm just seeing, the three ingredients or
Right.
whatever. So, and I know I don't take you as a guy that like is trying to like be super salesy and
No.
marketing wise, but
Zero.
do you find I mean, like, you didn't charge me when you gave me the methylene
No.
smoothie, but do you find it? I guess if you're not trying to convince anyone, then it's not difficult because if somebody doesn't get it or doesn't want to get it, you're just like, fine, I'm just moving on.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
sharing my gifts. But do you find it difficult to explain some of this to a layperson when they
At
don't really
first,
understand?
at first I did. It was way over the top scientific. I was losing everybody. And I had a school teacher that said, "What you need to do, you're brilliant, but I don't have a clue what you just said after your hour presentation." And what he told me is that I teach grade school, third grade. And what we do is we go from the known to the unknown. So you need to bridge something from the known and bring that on your journey to the unknown. So I kind of changed the story when I now tell it is, remember in high school, you had a physics class and you had a chemistry class. So those are real things. So we're using those real sciences and just applying them to make a nutraceutical product, which is really an infoceutical product, which has now evolved into a bioinfoceutical biohacking product.
Okay.
Light.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to teach the PhDs and the third graders here today.
Right. Yeah.
All right, cool. What's with the before we move on to the next topic? What's with the HRV testing that you did here? I didn't
well,
get a chance to read this, but it looks
well,
compelling.
the biggest thing is the intracellular and extracellular water analysis. One of the holy, you wouldn't believe how many anti-aging doctors, they don't even know this stuff. I mean, some of them are brilliant, some miss this. As you get older, your intracellular water is obviously the water inside your cell. Extracellular water is the water outside of your cell. As when you're young, your intracellular water portion ratio is going to be higher than the water that's outside. And there's a lot of equipment out there today where you can test that. They call it bioimpedance. There's someone here at the conference that has incredible technology they're selling to do that. So as you get older, your intracellular water shrinks, becoming like a raisin from a grape. Extracellular water increases, edema, bloating. And if that continues, eventually you just die.
Womp,
So
womp,
yeah.
womp.
So what you want to do is switch that equation around and plump up the intracellular water and extracellular water down. Young, healthy, sexy. I mean, it's pretty much vibrant skin. That's pretty much what everyone wants. So I put a phase angle technology with part of it is hydrogen into actually it's in all the products. And I had a doctor, she had the equipment to do this, and in a relatively, a month, the change was pretty drastic going from this the first subject had low intercellular water and high extracellular. And after about a month, it completely flip-flopped.
Really? From
Complete
drinking this?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Early version. This is way more advanced. And she was all excited, and I was like, "Is that a big deal?"
Yeah.
I'm used to, like light filters and like Shift Big. She's like, If I put someone on the proper diet for like a year, at the best I could get a 2% shift.
Really?
In like
Wow.
30 days, we got 15 whatever percent shift. Pretty big. I
Wow.
was like, "Oh, that's a good thing, isn't it?" She said, "Oh yeah, very good thing."
So, explain to me a bit about how you're actually identifying the frequencies of different molecules and what hardware is required to actually take that and imprint it or import it into something physical.
How to I buy lots of the same thing because you could look this up like Krillian photography. Russians pioneered this where everything's emitting like Bruce Lipton, a biomorphogenetic field, your epigenetics. There's this energy field around, and every one has a unique. You could think of as a unique IP address. So what I'll do is get lots of the same thing, scan that all in, and much like in a I also did some audio engineering, Dolby Digital 5.1. So get it in, and when you have lots of the same thing, they're all going to be like a little bit different. So now that we're in the digital world, um, we can edit it. You could think of a noise filter, take out what we don't, and optimize it for what we want.
To identify the frequency.
Right, to get it
Okay.
like perfect.
Okay.
Which we can't do in the chemistry world, but we can do in the computer world. So we can get it perfect to make sure you got it right where it should be. And frequency has to be perfect. It can't be like a little bit off because it's like some bands, like the 4 member bands, when you hear them live, it's like so amazing. But when they do a solar career and you go, it's like so disappointing because it's like a harmonic effect. It's like that's why they're so rare and magical and it's amazing. You got to get that perfect pitch harmony and everything just works.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once you've identified the frequency through this process of
Yeah.
kind of digital
Right. Yeah.
refinement, then what's the energy that's actually transmitting the frequencies into the physical
Yeah.
realm where someone can take it?
Like called it wave force. It didn't really exist what I was trying to look for. So I just call it wave force imprinting. So we're imprinting you can think of as the programming or the vibrational information in on the space between the atoms. That's where it's this quantum entanglement thing kind of
Wow.
happens.
Wow.
Yeah, and
And is
it
this done using lasers or
I
what's
tried everything and I just had a lasers were good. Lasers in some cases are good for reading the information, but not writing because it doesn't lock it in there. So we had to play around with I met with a lot of different electrical engineers doing a lot of different things and finally put this one system together. You could think of it as just audio, but you couldn't hear it. It's
okay.
so um the way it works would be like a subspace audio imprinting device.
Wow,
Yeah.
cool. And where are you doing all this stuff? Do you have like a lab at your home or office or something?
Here in LA, but that's gonna be moving. Yeah.
You're moving to Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool. Okay. I can just imagine how
I need
far
more
out.
space, more room.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Space is expensive
Oh,
here,
yeah.
much less so in Phoenix.
Right.
Um, so I'm imagining this kind of mad scientist laboratory is what I'm imagining close
Yeah.
to what it looks like. I mean, we have this
Oh, yeah.
quantum red light in here, and I mean, I'm thinking about just the stuff you carry around in your backpack is
Yeah,
really fascinating. So I can
boom.
imagine
Yeah.
if it's all in one place.
Yeah.
And so you kind of just assemble this, this equipment and figure out how to use it and just
Right.
kind of trial and error experiment until you get the desired result.
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah, just trial and error and having, doing, like, beta tests, have some key people when I put something new together. Yeah, I have, like, a lot of unbelievably brilliant doctors that give me feedback. And then what they'll do is muscle test.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And I'll give them, a few different versions and they'll muscle test. They'll be like, this is the one that muscle tests the best.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And is Harhari, one of
Oh,
your
absolutely. Yeah. I
okay.
figure if it doesn't kill him, it's yeah, I'll try and yeah, so then I will get to the methylene. So the methylene blue, I've always been kind of fascinated, obviously, by that. I stayed away from it for a while because I wasn't quite sure what to do with it yet. And I think I know what to do with it now. So with the methylene blue, I put together a totally different, unique program set. So unique. I thought, okay, this needs to actually be in a separate company. This is just we're hitting totally because I'm now we're getting involved in biophotonics,
And this is the frequency
frequency
rocket,
rocket. Yeah.
okay, versus this
Cellulation. Cellulation
cellulation.
is pretty much like anti-aging, holistic. That's why, the colors are blue and tranquil and, Zen
Right.
meditation, all of ocean and all of that. So, okay, that's working. Now we're moving into like power of light, like serious high performance athletic optimization, basically creating the superhuman.
Got it.
Oh, you're,
Okay, you can carry on. I think I
oh,
remember how to
yeah.
do it now. It's not bad for us to keep this light on.
No, no, it's great for
It
you.
goes on 30 minutes at a
Yeah,
time,
you're
right?
getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of supplements imprinted you through light.
I'm not shitting you though, I'm just gonna pause here. I feel so good
Yeah.
after having that little cocktail you gave
Yeah.
me and sitting in front of this light. I'm like, because I've probably done, I don't know, 5 or 6 interviews in the past couple days, and I don't know, I've always will, like, ramp up my focus and my energy,
Yeah.
but then I'm a little too amplified, and then
Yeah.
I sit as I'm interviewing, I'm, like, breathing, trying to calm myself down and just stay present, but I feel like right now, extremely alert and, like,
Yeah.
my cognitive
Oh,
capacity
yeah.
is very high, but I'm also very calm.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah, hit
cool.
it. This one I nailed it. It's like perfect.
Okay,
So
so
for when I gave that one of the first version, he said, "You nailed it." This is like what he said, this is what everyone's running off doing psilocybin and other ayahuasca. And he said, "You nailed it. This is what everyone's gonna want. You have that clarity, but you're calm."
well, he's never sent me, I don't think, any kind of a supplement because he texts me stuff and it's like, this new magnetic thing from Germany and it's
Right.
$150,000, the stuff that he uses in his
Oh,
clinic. He's
yeah.
like, "Oh, you gotta come try this," just as, like a patient, right?
Yeah.
"Oh, your back hurts, Luke," because he used to treat me when I was here. "Oh, you gotta try this. I think we can fix your
Yeah.
hip," or whatever. But he never sends me like, "Oh, try this bottle of
No, he's
vitamin,"
not a
he's not that guy. So that's why it got my attention when he sent me this. I was like, "Really? Like, can it be? I know methylene blue. Can it be that special?" But anyway, we're learning why now, and I'm kind of feeling the effects of it. So
Yep.
super cool. All right, so carry us back into the methylene blue
Yeah, so
world.
methylene blue, I mean, it was actually the first whatever you want to call it, first pharmaceutical, ever synthesized in the late 1800s. It was BASF German scientists put it together for dye and because back then fabric was falling apart, mold and it would just didn't have much integrity. So then they dye fabric with methylene blue. It gave it more structural integrity, resisted mold and a viral outbreak rolled through and caused some issues. But the people who were working at the methylene blue facility were fine. So, and there's methylene blue for over 100 years. There's an insane amount of research on it.
There's an insane amount of research on your site. Like when you go into the
Yeah,
frequencyrocket.com resources, and I clicked around and got to methylene blue, and you're like,
yeah.
first it just lists all of the proven benefits, but then you break down each one of those. I mean, it's like a few pages just
Oh,
on the
yeah.
methylene blue. I was like, this is a really good resource because it's hard to find like a consolidated reference based database just on that particular substance, which you did a great job of
Oh,
putting together.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could study methylene blue for the next 30 years and just barely. There are people all they do is study methylene blue. But one of the interesting aspects of that you really need light to activate methylene blue the proper way. And I was consulting with some different doctors on that, and it has to about exciting the electrons. So methylene blue really to work. I'm using methylene blue in two ways, and this is more bizarre weirdness talk here. So methylene blue excites the electron transport chain and gets. I call it the methylene blue should really be called the cellular respirator blue, ultimate in cellular, getting oxygen through for cellular respiration. That and there's a whole other host of health benefits, but that's not really why I'm using it or interested. That I sat on it for a while as I'm not doing anything till I figure out I also do everything intuition based, 100% guided intuition. Uh, and then I thought, I think you have the electron transport chain, and we all want energy, mental clarity, and focus. In the electron transport chain, you have the four proteins, one, two, three, and four. And between three and four, you have cytochrome C complex. It's called cytochrome C because of light. Now, what I'm going to tell you, no one has ever done any research on. This is 100% intuition. I'm like thinking, I think this is going to work. And it obviously is. So the cytochrome C, but I think the methylene blue there's actually a lot of research that shows how methylene blue works with cytochrome C chemistry wise, and some with light, specifically red light therapy. And there's So what I thought, if we put this methylene blue in there and it's kind of parked on top of the cytochrome C complex, and it's almost like a crystal conducting energy, then we put this programmed light. Now that light you're sitting in front of, it is red light therapy, but that's really not, you can get red light anywhere. What I did with that is you're actually dosing methylene blue right now with a biophotonic light.
Really?
Yeah. So the biophotons that the red light therapy to me is just a carrier. It's great. It's available. It has a lot of health benefits. But I'm using the red light biophotonic energy. I'm basically hitchhiking methylene blue onto the biophotons of the red light that's programmed in that panel in a solid state way. And also, like if you go on the website and look at all the ingredients, there's two. No, actually, the light only has the digital ingredients. You'll see there's like, a very long list of all these pretty much what would every biohacker for the ultimate neurotropic, what would you want? And all those ingredients are just listed there. The holy grail of all of it. So I took all of those as the digital ingredients that's hardwired into the red light therapy device. So when you turn that on, you're getting dosed with biophotonic digital ingredients. Boom, you could hold a drink in front of it and it's treated and drink it. You sit in front of. So going back how that works with methylene blue. So I'm thinking methylene blue is like this almost like in Star Wars you had like the translator droid. So I'm thinking cytochrome C sitting there. We park the methylene blue in that equation, so that's there opening the gateway, almost like a stargate. Then the red light is coming in, activating it more. Now that this red light has all these digital ingredients, so now we got everything like the lock is now opened and available. So like, oh, okay, now we can receive that information. So it just pours right on in, and you're feeling it right now. It's almost like the Apple ecosystem, how you buy into the Apple. So when you physically have the methylene blue in you that's programmed with the exact same frequency set as this red light device has in it, everything's working in concert together. I nailed it the first time perfectly. Harari was like the great first test. And everyone since then is like, this is like forget 4D. It's like bouncing into 5D.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
you're obviously experiencing it.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Tell me about this, what's this Pacoisin what was that? Starts with the
Oh,
P?
polycosanol. Yeah, yeah, the
Polyconsanol, yeah.
polycosanol journey. So that was pre-methylene blue. Polycosanol is this is actually the cellulation PC. That's what we call PCN light. So anything you shine this at, uh, it's red light therapy. You're not buying this because, well, it is a very good red light therapy device. I'd have to say about that.
For those listening, he's got a handheld what is similar to a flashlight,
Yeah,
only different frequencies of light.
Yeah, so I put the polycosanol, the story on polycosanol. You can go. There's a tremendous amount of research on that. Also, dev- I put the frequency of polycosanol in so the methylene blue chemical compound is vibrating like polycosanol. This is like one of those bizarre lucky accidents. I think when you get methylene blue, physically being methylene blue, vibrating at the rate of polycosanol, magic happens. It's like pretty profound. And polycosanol is a nano-sized sugar molecule. It has to be 70 nanometers or less. The story of that is during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Cuba got cut off from a lot of Western meds. They didn't know what they're going to do. And the ancient herbal remedy, if we take raw, obviously they have a lot of raw sugar cane, crush it down, stone grind, cheesecloth, water. They found out when they took that, and there's a lot of research. You could spend another 30 years researching polycosanol. Polycosanol, have you heard of it before?
Not
Yeah,
before I met
yeah,
you,
yeah.
no.
I'm always way ahead of the curve, too ahead of the curve. Is everyone's going to be obsessed with polycosanol. Polycosanol is pretty much, I think, polycosanol and methylene blue are like the holy grail for anti-aging neurotropic optimization. Polycosanol, when it gets through the physical, when it gets through the cell membrane, hits your DNA, it actually will reset your DNA to its original epigenetic pattern from 10,000 years ago. Boom, you're reset.
What?
Yeah, it's all the research is out there. And I've had a doctor friend of mine, he actually tested my version, actually the biophotonic version of polycosanol and this and that out. He said it is absolutely working. It is completely resetting the epigenetic sequence, and this is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, and does anyone take polycosanol
Yeah, there's
as a supplement or, like, just is it a powder or a capsule or something that people are taking out there, or
yeah,
is
there's
it
polycosanol product. They're all really good. There's
Oh, okay.
powder, supplements, liquid versions. They're all really good.
Oh, okay.
And I was playing around with that, and I was like, "These are all really good." People are getting great effects, and it's like any supplement; they're all over the place. But I was like, "It needs more power to get where I'm like the power guy. I'm
Right.
used to a server. Okay, we need to make a $300 million movie. It needs to be done in 3 months, and the render farm doesn't have enough horsepower to get it done in time. Not a problem. We just spend more and buy more horsepower."
Okay,
I'm always
okay,
thinking add more power. If we can't get it done, just add more power to get it done. It's
okay.
my mindset. It's just the reality I'm living in. So okay, this should add more. I think if we add more horsepower, biophotonic power to it, and people are also eating polycosanol stuff like the first. This was actually these gummy bears. Bizarrely, this was a total accident. I just I hate to say, I took sugar and corn syrup based gummy bear. I just had them laying there. Let's just do a test. And I programmed them or made the corn syrup and sugar vibrator behave like polycosanol. I passed it out to some people. They're like, holy crap, this stuff's amazing. I was like, I can't believe this. This is like the most unhealthy supplement ever. It used to be like anti sugar. So then I thought we got to make a healthy version. So I got gummy bears that were sugar free, natural. And the same doctors, they're like, they don't work as well. We went the first
Really?
one back. So there's something
Wow.
about that corn syrup and sugar vibrating like physically, yeah, it looks unhealthy, but it's vibrating or behaving like polycosanol. So then when you eat that or the methylene blue drink, and then you activate with the red light with the polycosanol program, it delivers the extra power of horsepower. So people are getting tremendous more results out of it.
Got it, okay, with the methylene blue, I met a doctor named Dr. Matthew Bennett out here who's based in Newport Beach, and he, somehow figured out that if you add silver and gold to
Right.
methylene blue and then combine it with red light, he's using the hemolumin to
Uh
do
huh.
essentially methylene blue IVs, that had a really profound
Right.
effect on it. Have you had any, experience with the
That's a
the
great delivery way. Yeah.
reflective nature of the gold and silver as a way to amplify it, or did you just, like, skip that because you found something that worked
Well,
also?
ultimately, the silver and gold is a conductor. And it's
Okay,
going back. I thought we really just want to conduct the light.
got it,
Cytochrome C is called cytochrome C because it's cytochromatic. It's all about the light.
got
So
it.
now the gold they're fantastic. They're great. Now they're doing that's in a liquid format. So mine is going to be. I call it. I'm done of coming up with creative names. I thought we're just simple. So I just said it LMB for liposomal methylene blue.
Okay,
So it'll be dry methylene blue, liposomal coated. And when I found, especially when you're adding these digital programs to that, things like the polycost, when you go on the website, list them all there. It's I want to get the light in there, and I did play around with adding, nano size gold and silver. But I was like, for in the solid state, I want to make it so it could sit on a shelf for like 500 years and still work.
Got
You don't
it.
have to worry about liquid spilling, especially that methylene blue. Everything,
It's hard to work with.
yeah, it's blue.
Yeah.
These, going through pants left and right. Keep, no
Yeah.
matter how careful I am,
My wife and I had to agree that if we were going to use methylene blue, because we have a few products that we have to go in the garage to
yeah,
like
it's a
to
mess.
to take it and like make sure there's none on your hands. If you get one speck of that on a white
It's
marble table,
destroyed.
yeah, you're done.
I
Like,
don't care. You get Clorox, bleach, and
yeah.
it won't come out. So I thought, okay, we're going to make this so easy to use. So if we encode it liposomal, dry, and add it to water, mix it around, you won't have to hold it in your mouth. You can just swallow it immediately. Keep
So it won't turn your mouth blue.
right. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the blue mouth or anything. And then if you have a red light device with the programming in there, you're good to go, and it'll eliminate as much of the blue mess as possible.
What's copper's relationship to the mitochondria and its relationship to light? And is there any positive reaction with methylene blue, like there would be the frequencies or the
Yeah, yeah,
physical?
it's conducting electrical current. Now, some people have, they call them high copper blood type, which I'm high copper. And some people aren't. Pretty much every genius in the world, you name them, there are doctors that specialize this, like Jim Morrison, the list goes on, Michelangelo, pretty much every single person, well, not everybody, but next thing we could have a, high copper discrimination club just because we're high copper blood type. But yeah, pretty much everybody who pretty much did anything is high copper. I was having a meeting with this one doctor. He's like, "Look, I meet a lot of really smart people who know a lot of information, but I was like, why you keep talking to her?" And he said, "Because you're a high copper." I didn't even know this was a thing. He said, "Because you're high copper blood type." I was like, "What does that mean?" I said, "You have your blood has high copper levels in it. That's why you're able to. Your brain is literally a superconductor."
Wow,
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it's just something I've been researching lately in terms of mitochondrial function
yeah.
and cellular respiration.
Oh,
It
yeah, it's very
seems
big.
like if copper's not in our soil as it once was, and people aren't eating organ meats and bee pollen
Yeah,
and the foods that contain copper, most of us are probably quite copper deficient.
correct, yeah.
So I've been supplementing with it, and I love it. It's been really quite profound. It's had a huge impact.
Yeah, in India, they have, like, copper, which I wouldn't recommend, but in India, they have copper bowls. They'll put they're thinking if we put water in a copper bowl, the real copper and actually that's not healthy. You're doing it the right way by eating, like, organ meats. They're
Yeah.
just they're gonna be more enriched with copper.
Yeah. Okay, cool. With the methylene blue, there are some pretty legitimate concerns out there, I think, with the various
Correct,
formulations, right? And
right.
so I do my best whenever I'm using methylene blue to get pharmaceutical grade,
Mhm.
really pure versus you could go online and just order from some shady website that's
Right,
like a methylene blue liquid or powder that could be contaminated with heavy metals and things like that.
right.
So what's the deal with finding and using really pure, safe methylene blue versus something that somebody's going to clean their fish tank with?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a very good question. There's three main categories of you have the industrial version for fabrics, then you have the aquarium version, and then you have the pharmaceutical version. So you want to make sure you get the cleanest one is going to be United States pharmaceuticals. They have also a European certification. The US is more strict in the keeping the lead and copper contaminant level. Their protocols of threshold are more stringent. Now, in my world, yeah, I'm using the cleanest, purest pharmaceutical world. However, in my world, it doesn't matter because I just stated uh, we can't change matter, but we can change the way matter behaves. So if they're mine isn't that way, but the cool thing about this frequency technology, we can neutralize toxins with
Oh, wow.
frequency. Yeah.
How does that work?
It's what it does, everything it's almost like if imagine you're at a and actually that technology is in the youth. I put a detox program in youth, the toxin neutralizing. So if you're at a pond and somebody throws a stone in on one side, a ripple goes. And you're on the other side, you throw another, and then the two ripples, when they meet, they cancel each other out. It's so if there's that's why on youth, some people get really uh severe migraines like they've never had before. I'm like, good news, bad news. Sorry, you have the horrible. Sometimes it's 1 to 3 days. It's actually pushing heavy metal toxins out of their brain,
Really?
but because it's to neutralize it, you just create the equal and opposite frequency set.
Okay.
So then when that encounters that set, when the real toxins in your brain, it kind of just hides out in there. But when the other opposite hits it, it now turns it into just an inert matter, like neutralized. And then
Yeah.
your brain thinks, oh, we need this is just like waste product. We got to get it out. And
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, I could use that. I have quite a high aluminum levels,
Oh yeah, that'll
probably
wipe it
from
out. Yeah.
living here, breathing chemtrails for 32 years.
Yeah. And also don't use any of the deodorants,
Right.
loaded with it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, you were talking to me when we first met the other night about the photonic energy of the sun and how
Yeah.
essentially, and I've kind of looked at it in this way myself, is that essentially anything we're eating to put into our body to get energy is essentially just a plant or an animal that's eaten plants that's capturing the photonic
Right.
energy of the sun. Do you think that we will see any time in our near or far evolution where we'll be able to just live from light frequencies
You're
and
already there right now.
that's what I'm sitting in
I've
front
had
of?
like a lot of people, they're like, it's pretty much programmed in everything. I can do a 3 hour talk on all these supplements I put together, but the methylene blue and the red, that really pushed it over the edge. Especially that new methylene blue formula, like they're like, I hardly have any appetite because during the day, the cytochrome C, we need, one of the things is to open up a research foundation or like the Institute of, we only are going to study cytochrome C. That's it. We're not interested in anything else, just cytochrome C complex, because you could, I don't know to what level. They say in India, some, people are living over there, ancient gurus, thousands of years without eating food. It may be true. I don't know. I haven't, personally witnessed it, but theoretically, they could be, from what I'm finding now, this may be work where you could just live off of biophotons. I mean, there are animals in the desert, they have never had a drink of water in their life. Different, uh, desert animals, they get their moisture just through their fur, conducts it in, puts it in the body. So, it's could be now what I do know where we're at right now by doing them in the red light, people's appetite drastically is reduced because you're getting your energy source through biophotons.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So you're not so calorie starved.
Right. And you're
Yeah.
having more efficient energy. Yeah, and the sun is basically a giant hydrogen furnace. We live in a hydrogen life cycle system. Sun generates the hydrogen. And if someone says, "Oh, I don't believe in frequency," well, then life on Earth would cease to exist because you live by frequency. The sun, hydrogen, sends the hydrogen frequency to Earth through photosynthesis. Plants grow and thrive from using chlorophyll synthesis process, using little minerals and water, and presto, you have a plant. Hydrogen synthesis, an animal eats the plant, goes through an entire digestive process, extracting uh, hydrogen from the plant, so it fuels itself. We eat the animal, go through a huge process of digestion just to extract little tiny nuggets of hydrogen, which then percolate through the electron transport chain, hit and a lot of hit ATP, and now we have energy. Now, fortunately, it's always a positive net gain. Well, okay, you could spend 97% of the energy to extract little hydrogen. We're really like squirrels running around trying to get little nuggets of hydrogen.
Right. Right.
So what if we forget about spending all that energy of it, like running around trying to grab little nuggets of hydrogen and just mainline hydrogen, like a
Wow.
coke addict, like Scarface. I just gotta, I just like I'm a hydrogen addict. I'm gonna snort it all up.
Well, that's
Yeah,
interesting, because it is so metabolically expensive to
yeah,
extract that
right,
energy from whatever it is that we're
right,
eating,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
it's like when you watch these survival shows. I love the aspect of those shows where they calculate the expenditure of calories it's going to take to get X number of calories from the deer or the mushroom they forage
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever it is, right? When it gets down to the life or death thing, you're
yeah,
like, I never thought about that. To go to go trap the bunny is going to, like, cost this many
Oh,
calories,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? And then am I gonna get more than that back? Am I gonna get a net positive
Yeah.
caloric energy payload from the energy exerted?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess your body and especially your brain probably work the same way. From what I
Yeah.
understand, the brain is metabolically very, costly.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let me see what else is there?
I mean, we'll talk about the while we're on the
I'm learning
cutting.
I'm learning how to not have notes and just
Yeah.
just wing it because I always have, like, this list of 500 things I
Oh,
wanna
yeah, lucid
discuss.
we'll get into the car lucid state is, now when you did that what going on with you right now, 'cause the methylene blue is still getting activated, you should notice you're more in, like, this free-flowing lucid.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's where you wanna
Yeah.
be, it's
I
fantastic,
feel I
yeah,
feel awesome.
yeah, this
Yeah.
lucid so many people are very they're operating, left brain, they have to have the notes, the spreadsheet, the data, how do I know? The right brain is more the abstract artist flow, and there's you in the I call it the flow state, lucid state, where it's just you're just there. It's this like time is suspended in a way.
Yeah. I love that place where time is suspended.
Yeah, it's I
What's this thing here?
this is everything I do is like a experiment. So obviously I made this a little different. I thought let's make it like look like a like it belong. Actually, we're in Beverly Hills, so it's like let's make a box of coffee so it doesn't look like coffee. So it looks like it's in a designer showroom in Beverly Hills on a marble table. So here we are,
Okay.
Beverly Hills marble table showroom coffee. So what this is when you pop. Actually, you do it.
Okay.
So like it's like the fortune cookie concept.
Okay.
Little surprise.
Oh, wow.
Then what do you see when you open the
Look, I am
yes,
love.
it's like little fortune
I
cookie when you
like that
open that.
message.
So now this is an engineering feat of insanity right here. This is definitely the most engineering coffee ever put together. So this is an espresso, the original Nespresso pod, except it's made out of plant-based material.
Nice. Because when I opened it, I was like, "Oh, man, I hope that's not plastic."
Yeah, no, this is it's a plant-based
Right? Because I think
material.
about that with, like, coffee pods.
Yeah.
You're pouring boiling water through
Yeah,
plastic.
right.
That can't be good.
No, it isn't. Endocrine disruptors.
Yeah.
Never drink water out of a plastic bottle ever. Um, so this is which actually really works well for me. This is a plant-based pod as the material. So that's nice. And I put organic coffee in there with some collagen. Now this pod has been programmed, of course, with the polycosanol frequency set. So the other thing is when you get we can an espresso, the original Nespresso machine, just like this. Now we're moving to like a
Oh,
Julia
cool. I didn't
Child
know you had
cooking.
all this stuff. This is rad.
Yeah.
I love this.
To me, this is not a coffee machine. This is a science experiment. We're creating program
Cool.
stuff here. Can we get a glass? It'll look more cool if we could borrow a glass.
Thanks, Bailey.
Yeah, that'll work. Thanks.
Got it? Cool.
So then what happens is because obviously I was into, vortexing water and all this. One of the reasons
So
why
you're a water geek too?
I could do a 3-hour talk just on
Okay, good.
water. Yeah.
I've done, I think, around 12 podcasts
Uh-huh.
on just water,
Yeah.
and they're like 2 or 3 hours long,
Oh, yeah.
each one. I just yeah, I'm endlessly fascinated by water. It's just bananas. I can't
Yeah.
believe more people aren't researching it. There's a huge gap in the scientific community around the research of water. It's just ignored and treated as some clear liquid. It's
No,
totally
it's
bizarre.
incredible.
Yeah, okay, carry on.
So what I'm doing, this is actually an energizing water vortex machine that just happens to be an espresso machine. It is physically an espresso, the original pod. But what happens is since this plant-based pod is plant-based, it's vibrating or behaving like polycosanol program. So is the coffee physically in here, the grounds, and the collagen. So what happens is when you pop that in here, we just now created a steam vortex. So as the pressurized uh, water starts coming through here, all that steam and pressure, when it hits that, it activates the frequency even more. Because remember I said add this to hot water, it'll work better. If you add it to cold
Yeah.
water, it'll work. But hot heat always activates the frequencies, makes it more powerful. So as you can see how it's kind coming out there.
That smells good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the best. So it's energetically enhancing this with, this is like pure vibrating polycosanol deal
Wow.
here. And there you go. And look, this is like that's what I want in a glass. This is like the perfect cup of coffee. Literally, it really is. I will
Wow.
challenge anybody to get a better everything, taste, texture, presentation, health benefit.
Oh, man, that's good.
Yeah. Zero bitter aftertaste.
No, that's very smooth.
Yeah, because there's a thing, frequency flavor, so we're able to neutralize the bitter aftertaste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
No
crazy.
coffee company can ever compete because they don't have frequency flavor where you can neutralize the bitterness. Everyone that drinks that is like, I usually need sugar, cream, or whatever, but this is the only coffee I could ever do without any adding any sugar or creamer. You just because it's just so good that way. The other thing is I neutralize, well, not neutralize, but put a buffer on the caffeine effect, so you don't get that caffeine
The
amped up.
jitters?
Yeah, gone.
What about, mycotoxins in coffee? What have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, yeah, it's a real thing. So I think some people, it's like it's a real thing. To what level? I mean, to test every version of coffee and things. I think there more things to be worried about. Like, just stop drinking. If you just stop drinking water out of plastic
Right,
and
right.
go drink mycotoxin enriched coffee,
Right.
you'd be better off. Or what I not to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
drink my, but I, whatever. Anyway, I have the using the frequency neutralizing all that, and obviously sourcing it from the purest, cleanest, organic. Uh, forms. Every little degree helps, but
Yeah.
I realize you're just taking a breath of air is so much. We really need like a frequency mitigation detox thing. Anyway, with the polycosanol frequency in there, it's going to fix any epigenetic thing that got whacked out anyway. So
That is really good.
yeah,
It's interesting because when you look at the color of it, like those that can see it on mine, it's not, I mean, even though it's an espresso, I guess, it's not really, it almost looks like a black tea, but the
yeah,
taste is actually
oh
really
yeah,
rich.
yeah, yeah. It's
It
like
tastes like an espresso, but it doesn't look like an
uh-uh,
espresso. That's crazy. That's super wild.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know you had all this stuff. I thought you had the methylene blue and you have your frequency red light. This is fun. This is a fun show and tell.
And we'll throw now this I came out with first beans, just good old
Oh, really?
coffee beans,
Oh,
of
no
course,
way, dude.
frequency infused.
Oh, this is rad. I want to get some of these.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, what I found that obviously we have biohackers involved in our community.
Yeah.
They like taking these beans and do a pod and blend it with the MCT oil and butter
Yes.
and grass fed butter, of course,
Yes.
or ghee. So
Yes.
we got that. So we'll go back. So after I put the youth together, then the next thing I did is actually came out with a brain product. Now the youth, brain, and energy, they all have the exact same chemistry ingredients, 100% exact same chemistry ingredients, but they're
Okay.
going to behave differently. So once I did that one, okay, let's get the, like the limitless drug, brain. This is more working on with a very unique amino acid program frequency set. You just have better memory recall, executive level, higher brain function, left right hemisphere interaction. You'll just start when you're on this. You'll just start problem solving in a different way. You become more ambidextrous, and you just think, why was I always doing it? Like it is breaking out of neural pathways.
Wow. What would happen if you mix that and the LMB? Would that be overkill?
No, no, it'd be pretty interesting. Yeah.
I like be pretty interesting. Wow,
Someone was
cool.
asking me about that. I was going on. It's like, "Well, you're talking about so many different." I was like, well, Eskimos have 200 different words for snow. So I have like two different words for brain, a different brain
Got it.
supplementation way. So now energy is actually the greatest brain product. It does provide more, mitochondrial activity and all of that. Uh, but there's a pretty brilliant naturopathic doctor I work with. I didn't tell her anything. I like to have her discover and give me the feedback. She actually called me one day. She said, "You know what? Your energy products, you're the greatest brain product you have." It's like, you are truly the most brilliant doctor I will probably ever talk to that you figured that out. Didn't tell her.
Wow.
She said, "Yeah, my staff." when they come in, they said, "You took that energy product this morning, didn't you?" She said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" She said, "'Cause you're going through your paperwork so fast, we can't keep up."
Well, that makes sense. I mean, if you're optimizing mitochondrial function, your brain's loaded with them,
Oh, yeah.
right? So,
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I notice just if I do NAD and it's helping my mitochondria, it has a really massive cognitive impact.
Oh, definitely, yep.
Yeah.
Then we'll jump into the world of gels.
You are definitely the first guest that's ever made me a coffee live on the, the show, too.
Why
That's,
not? Yeah.
I'm going to start making this a requirement. Make me a quantum charged coffee or we're not doing it. This is amazing. All
It
right.
should be easy, simple, and, like, fun,
Yeah. Yeah.
like an
And
experience.
thanks for reminding me about the plastic bottles of water too, because I went over here to Erewhon to
Oh,
my old alma mater
yeah,
yesterday, and they had all these like boutique exotic spring waters in
yeah,
glass, and I was
yeah,
like, I got to carry them up to my
yeah.
hotel, so I got the Icelandic
That
water.
Icelandic's great
I mean, it's good
water.
water, but it is in plastic. I was like,
Once
but
in a while, I'll drink Icelandic. I mean, because it comes well, that's a whole other water subject because it has low deuterium. It's
that's why I got
Icelandic.
it. Yeah.
Here's the little secret. We'll just increase Icelandic's corporate value by 100 times just by saying this. Icelandic water is the cheapest deuterium depleted water you can buy.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why I got onto that. I think it was Jack Cruz told me that because it's glacial melt
Yeah.
essentially that
Low deuterium
the
levels. Yeah.
glaciers deplete the deuterium out of
Yeah.
it. That's funny you mentioned deuterium because I was going to ask you, and I forgot back when we were kind of on the mitochondria and ATP production and all of that in the electron
Hmm.
transport chain. I've done quite a few shows on deuterium. Do you think there's validity to this idea that the deuterium, this heavy hydrogen, gets into the nanomotors of the
Oh,
mitochondria
yeah.
and
Definitely.
hinders their ability to
Slows us
produce
down. Yeah.
ATP? That's legit.
Yeah. I went on a pure, like, deuterium depleted water. I overdid it, and I was just my mind was just racing so fast. I was like, "I gotta slow down. I gotta
Right.
get some deuterium enriched water, slow the machine down."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a couple cycles of that too. The thing I like about the deuterium depleted water, I drink this water called light water, and I do
Yeah.
just a 2 month cycle of it every once in a
Yeah.
while. But what's cool is you can actually test your deuterium
Yeah.
before and after and see that there's a pretty substantial
Oh, yeah.
quantifiable benefit.
I will give you a biohack since we're on a biohacker
Yeah.
podcast. We will give you a biohack on how to get cheap light water.
Okay.
The way that is light water, which is one of the best deuterium places to buy deuterium depleted water, comes in glass bottles and the big plastic one.
Yeah.
The big plastic one is way cheaper, but it's in plastic. So it's like, oh, how do I? And the glass ones are heavy and everything. So buy a zero water filter, which zeroes everything out. It has a ceramic base. Buy the deuterium light water in the plastic, dump it in at the top, go through the zero water. It'll take out all the plastic, little tiny plastic endocrine, that would happen to interact. So now you're just gonna get pure 100% deuterium depleted water down in the ceramic base. So we're back to like it's in glass
Right, right.
for drink. You got cheap deuterium depleted water.
That is a good
You could do
hack.
the same thing with Icelandic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I guess also if you dilute it, when I get the light water, I get
Yeah.
the small 10 parts per million bottle
Yeah.
and mix that. I forget the ratio, but with
Yeah.
some spring water that's probably, 140 ppm
Yeah.
deuterium, and then essentially end up with a net 85 ppm
Yeah.
water to drink, which makes it last
Yeah.
longer and probably a little gentler on the body
Oh, yeah,
too,
yeah. Yeah, you can do that.
Cool, cool. Okay, I'm glad we covered that. All right, what do we got next
So
here?
anyway, this is now we'll go in the world of gels. This is some stuff older technology I made. It's still really good. Is gel number one. What I did is this is 99.9% water. We're on this. However, there's about a million nano size silver particles in here.
I'm gonna zoom you out a little bit so
Okay.
we can see the
Oh,
table.
there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
There's about a trillion nano-sized silver particles in here, and of course, I'm programming the silver with the vibration rate. So I am not the CBD expert. There's a lot of other people you could interview to talk CBD.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'm not the CBD guy. However, the endocrine disruptor system, I'm just the copy paste, you know, computer nerd kind of guy. So with Asperger's thrown on top and a little dash of OCD and a little dyslexia, and you have a very neurodiverse brain.
Yeah.
So So on this, I thought let's do it because at first people were like pain gel, but it was kind of a few years ago. People were like, CBD pain gel. So
Yeah.
let's do a frequency. So I go to some of the shows. Everyone say we have full spectrum CBD, So I started buying them all, scan them in. I'm analyzing them, and they're not full spectrum because it's like in Photoshop, you could have the reverse photo filter where it turns it into a negative image. So the CBD cannabinoid system, so let's find out what matches in there. And everyone who's saying there's this full spectrum, none of them are even like 10%. I'm like, well, this is really, and I'm blowing a ton of money on everyone who says. Finally, one of the booths at one of these shows says, "Oh, we know ours is full spectrum because we get it tested at like this best CBD testing." I was like, "Really? Where's that?" They gave me that. I said, "Stupid me." So then I just called the place that they test all their CBD at. Said, "Hey, what are the best CBDs you've ever tested? Like the most?" They said, "Oh, here they are. And by the way, once we test them, we don't need it anymore. If you want, we'll just throw them all in a box and send it to you for
Are you
free."
serious?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
cool.
I was like, "Stupid me! I could have saved thousands of dollars." So they sent me this box, and I was, "Oh, this is like a great Christmas present." So I started scanning them all in. I was like, "Oh, this is incredible." So some of them really impressive. I was like, "Oh, these people definitely know what they're doing." So what I did is like I just patched them together. They weren't quite all full spectrum. That's okay. Some had some parts covered, the other ones didn't. So I like combined all that together and then made a CBD gel with zero CBD in it.
Oh, you just put the frequency in it?
Frequency. Now, the cool thing with this, you could travel anywhere international because there's no CBD in here, but you're getting the effect of CBD. Now, it's not transdermal. The CBD, it's silver particles that are staying on the surface of your skin. So I got a booth at a CBD show, and this woman in pain comes up, and I'm telling her that this is CBD gel with no CBD in it. She, thinks I'm completely out of my mind. She says, "I've tried everything here, nothing's working." I said, "Well, this one will." And I said, "Here, just put it on and you'll be back in like 10 minutes and you're going to bring your friends. You're all going to want to buy it." And she put it on, skeptical. 20 minutes later, she brings all her friends back and she says, "Just to let you know, your gel worked better than any CBD here with CBD in it." I said, "Yeah, I
Oh,
told you so."
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
So that was the world of CBD. No, it's also good, like, if you don't have pain or whatever, just rub it on your head. Here, you could do some, right? We'll
Okay,
put you in a total party. Let's turn it
cool.
into, like, serious spa. You did the coffee, it'll just blow out all your circuits
Yeah,
there.
I'm like, "I do have other interviews, so don't incapacitate
Yeah.
me." So where do I wanna put it?
Around on your head, so it'll activate your whole endocannabinoid
Okay, I'm
awareness.
gonna take my mic off, so you
Yep.
have to keep talking.
So then, the next gel I put together is a blend of 191 different amino acids. Um which activate anti-aging. Most people gel number 2 CH, we call this one CHG. Most people put this one on at night because it pretty much activates for a lot of anti-aging processes that kick in while you're sleeping. One of the cool things is it stimulates your pineal gland to produce more melatonin, so you're going to get younger while you're sleeping, plus you'll
Really?
get great sleep. Yeah.
This
You
one?
you can keep all.
CHG gel?
Right. It's a blend of 191 different amino acid blend, which is great for anti-aging. The side effect is when it's done right, your pineal gland will produce more melatonin naturally. I used to have insomnia years ago. It was a big problem, and I tried all of those other, valerian root. They just made it worse.
Really? Like lemon balm and
All of
all
that,
this stuff?
nothing worked. Uh, So what this is doing is it's your body producing its own melatonin. You're not getting it from a foreign substance. So then I ski a lot. My knees had some issues, and oh, I don't have it here. I grabbed two number twos, but there is a gel number three. We'll just use the other two. So gel number three called Orno is stem cell gel.
Really?
Yeah, so it'll cause stem cells just to gather and produce in there. So I just put it on my knees and just generate a new knee.
It's funny that you mention that because my friend Dr. John Lawrence is here in LA as well, and he texted me this morning because we were supposed to meet up, and he said, "Man, I fell down in our friend Harry's garage last
Oh
night."
wow.
He goes, "He needs to organize his garage." But anyway, he fell down and jacked up his knees. Like I think I tore something, so he's going to come get treated by Hari
Oh,
later today. So maybe
yeah,
I
we
could.
could throw them on that right there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, if there's some stem
because
cell
he was like,
gel.
"I don't know if I can come. I'm gonna have to go to Rite Aid and get crutches." And I said, "All right, we're gonna
No,
find
we'll totally
yeah,
fix it.
we'll find the people here that can get you sorted out."
Yeah. I've had people like unbelievable levels of pain. One guy, total spinal degenerative disc disorder. Just, just doing the gummy bears and the PCN light, polycosanol. Originally, I got into polycosanol for the anti aging aspects. And then a friend of mine threw a bag of these bears at a friend of his who had a lot of pain, and it helped a great deal. He calls me up and said, "Hey, do you know your gummy bears help get rid of pain?" I'm like, really? I have to this day, I have no idea why or how it's working. All I know, because I was thinking CBD. All I know is the way the polycosanol is working in this is neutralizing the pain. That panel with the methylene blue and the will definitely his will have his knee massively restored.
Brad,
Yeah.
okay, cool. He's supposed to come at 3, which should be a little after we finish here
Okay.
today.
Yeah, we'll totally rebuild the guy.
Awesome. All right,
So we got stem cell. Then the
okay.
fourth one, of course, is testosterone gel.
Oh, I could use some of that.
Yeah, with no
I
testosterone.
just tested a little lower than
Oh
I
no,
would
we'll jack
prefer.
your testosterone through the roof. Now, the other gels doesn't matter where you put them, but this one is you want to put it on the liver channel, which is on the inner thigh. The liver channel is responsible for burning fat into energy. So if you put the testosterone frequency as silver on top of the liver channel acupuncture point, it's going to continually just be burning fat for energy. And the other benefit is obviously you get increased testosterone level. No, actually,
I thought you were gonna say you have to put it somewhere else, so that's
yeah,
that's
people think that. Like, I know that
gotta put it on the
people.
old nads.
Yeah, I had one guy say, "Well, I have liver issues. I'm putting the PCN light on my liver." And actually, the body isn't wired that way. You actually should look up an acupuncture chart, find out where the liver point is, and put the light on there. You'll get a better because it's delivering the information through your energetic grid that way. Acupuncture, the best chart is the yellow emperor. The yellow, I don't know who or how his team or figured it out, but the best acupuncture chart is going to be the yellow emperor of China. His acupuncture chart is like the one to go with.
Really? It's the
Yeah.
most accurate?
Yeah. I don't know what that guy was on or how he figured it out, but
I don't know how they figured out any of that stuff.
the yellow emperor was the guy.
When you look at ancient technologies and ancient peoples, I mean, thinking of Egypt, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's like looking at the pyramids. I mean, there's just so many examples of that over the
Yeah.
course of our history, and you just can't explain how someone came up with that. It's interesting for me sometimes to think about even ancient peoples pre-civilization had their own Einsteins,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like
Right.
we think, oh yeah, smart people just showed up a couple thousand years ago. It's like, there were people as smart, if not maybe even smarter in some cases, a really long time ago that figured all this stuff out. And some of it we're rediscovering
Oh, yeah.
as we
Yeah.
innovate.
A lot of the ideas I'm getting, I'm actually going way back in history, digging stuff
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Copper,
cool.
they knew the whole copper thing hundreds of years ago.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right.
Last thing is
Yeah.
that here, this is yours. You could actually put this on right now.
Oh, cool. I was wondering what that was, that
Yeah.
bracelet you had
Yeah.
on.
There you go. So that's going to do, a lot of people sell EMF protection 5G and they'll say, buy this pendant, whatever, and it's going
Yeah,
to protect you from 5G.
yeah.
That's good and that's nice, but 5G really isn't the bad part about 5G. The worst part about what I just throw the whole thing in a category, call it dirty energy.
Yeah.
Is free radical. I call it whatever we'll call it 5G tower is actually like a massive free radical oxidization center. 5G, 4G, 3, all of them uh, eh, are just free radical oxidization frequency emitting devices. Put that in a
We need an
anagram.
acronym for it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be
Someone
easier.
think of what was the acronym for that? That's what we call it.
Yeah, that would be an easier way to say all of that. So that's the bad. That 5G is bad, the cellular disruption, but the really bad part is the massive energetic oxidization that occurs there. And I went through some research and discovered the amount of oxidization that is occurring. You'd have to consume 30, I think, don't hold me to this. I'm going through a lot of information, but somewhere around like 30 you'd have to consume about 30 grams of ascorbic acid every hour to mitigate the damage. So actually, I had a big bag of ascorbic acid because I use it for a lot of things. Now let's see how that will go. So I took 30 grams, put it in a glass, and I dressed like, oh, my mouth was like so puckered, like a goldfish, or barely talk like that. I was like, holy, this is like nonsense. And my stomach obviously was like reacting
Oh
to
my
that.
god.
So I had raw milk in my refrigerator. I thought, well, that'll buffer it. Let's try that. So I put the second hour, I put the 30 grams, or it did buffer it, but it was beyond disgusting tasting. I thought I wanted to throw up. It's pretty much humanly impossible for people to do that. So that's okay because I took the frequency set of like all the best antioxidants and put that in on this. So there's three main programs. So one is the EMF neutralization, just how like talked about the pebbles in a pond. And so this is just kind of creating the equal and opposite wave force reaction. So as that hits, it just neutralizes. Now the other thing is it's on your wrist. It's emitting. You can think of like an auric field of antioxidants. So this is like, as far as I know, the world's first wearable. Are you wearing your antioxidants today? So now you don't have to drink 30 grams of
Yeah, and
you.
be running to the
Yeah,
bathroom and probably not making it there.
right.
What's the deal with the back here on each of these little
Yeah, those are
segments?
some little magnets. The
Oh.
magnets really aren't doing. They're just polarity magnets. What's
Oh,
the
okay.
program? Their magnets are great. They're the magnetic therapy, but what's holding the program is actually stainless steel. Holds the information really well, and you
Oh,
can
okay.
take showers in it. You could even. I wouldn't recommend going in the ocean. Stainless steel won't rust, but I still wouldn't get salt water that can
Okay.
corrode it. So says the blood's flowing through there. It's getting this energetic uh, imprinting of antioxidants. So
Wow.
if you're ever talking to someone trying to sell you or pitch you, you know, EMF protection of some kind, say, okay, well, what part of this you do realize, the 5G is bad and your pendant's neutralizing that, and you can get a whole. But now, what about all the free radical damage it's doing? What part of the frequency antioxidant do you have in there? They'll look like a deer in the headlights. Like, what are you
Oh,
talking about?
right,
Well,
right,
that's like that's actually the more important part of the equation. Like, well, why didn't you think of adding that? As far
right.
as I know, I'm the first person that did both of those together. So then the third thing is like, kind of grounding, immunity. When you're grounded, your immunity just naturally gets better.
Mhm, mhm.
Everyone
Wow.
should do ground. That's a whole other podcast. You could get. There's tons of grounding experts out
What
there.
do you think about with the grounding and earthing? Because I mean, obviously, anytime I can get outdoors, I'm barefoot and always touching something conductive, and then you had the grounding pads and the grounding
Right.
sheets, but then after interviewing a number of, highly renowned experts on EMF, the consensus with the EMF people is that, like, say we're here in this room and there's 60 hertz everywhere. There's all these wires with
Yeah.
the recording equipment that if you had your bare foot on a grounding pad that was plugged into the ground in the wall, that you would then become the ground for the AC current or the 60 hertz coming out of the walls and all the electronics. So a few of them have recommended that that's maybe not the best idea. Let's say like sleeping on a grounding sheet when the
Yeah.
wall behind you is a conductive drywall that's basically made of minerals, and your whole wall is emitting 3 to 6 feet of
Right.
60 hertz, and now you're the ground. And so they've recommended, yeah, grounding is great, but not if you're exposed to an electric field. From your perspective, what would be your take on that?
This is something I don't make. Nature does things better than some things me. The shungite, right here. This is a
Right.
shungite bracelet. This is the ultimate grounding thing there is. Shungite. It comes from the shungite region in Russia. There's only one mine in the world where you can get it. The U.S. military actually, maybe not now anymore. Hope they got a supply. But they'd actually take shungite, turn it into a powder, and they powder coat the inside of tanks, jet fighters to neutralize all the electronics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying if you want to ground, just wear shungite.
It helps. It will help. Not
Okay.
completely ground you, but every little bit helps. Another great thing, another bio is just get a. There's different grades of shungite. The higher the purity, it's actually has a more of like a metallic kind of cool look to it. And make sure it's authentic shungite. And you could buy it off eBay. It's cheap. And you know it's authentic if it shows up wrapped in Russian newspaper.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, some of the shilajit I've purchased before from, Siberia,
Mhm.
comes in very primitive packaging,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
you can't read it, but you're like, "Well, I think," I saw the lab tests on their site, and hopefully they were
yeah.
legitimate, to see that it wasn't contaminated, but yeah, I like finding stuff from overseas
Oh
and
yeah,
obscure websites. I don't necessarily recommend other people do that because you
yeah.
have to be a bit discerning,
Oh
but
yeah, you could, yeah, really get
but
screwed
you could have
over.
anything black stone-like and call it shungite.
Yeah, yeah,
Could be made of plastic.
yeah.
Alright,
And
um,
get a shungite rock and just throw it in your water, preferably glass container water, and it has a alchemy thing. It neutralizes energetic toxins in the water. It makes water taste like very crystal pure mountain fresh spring
that's
water.
cool. What
Yeah.
about, lodestone? Do you ever work with that in any capacity?
That one, not much about. I
Okay.
didn't that uh I haven't gone down that road
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's magnetic, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's just a rock, but actually creates a magnetic
Mhm.
field, which is really interesting. And some people believe that you can use that in or around your water too to change the frequency of it, but I've not looked that deeply into it.
Neodymium magnets are like super powerful.
Oh, really?
Neodymium magnets are like the most powerful. You get a really highly charged if they get stuck together, it'll take you huge amount of force to get them
Really?
separated. Yeah, neodymium magnets, you could buy those anywhere. And put them around your water and they'll help watch some YouTube videos on how to work with neodymium magnets and water, and that's a whole other
Cool.
world. I mean, it's just so much this bio. You just keep going down these rabbit
That's what
holes.
I do.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday, I find a new rabbit
Yeah.
hole. All right, let's talk a little bit about the red lights that you've created
Yeah.
at your other company, Frequency
Right.
Rocket, which I love your logo. When I looked
Thanks.
at the website, I was like, this kind of looks like the graphics from like an 80s video
Oh,
game,
absolutely. Yeah.
it has like this.
That retro
Yeah,
wave.
it has
Yeah.
like a retro thing. I was like, this is cool, because you could make like this one, your other brand here looks, modern and clean
Yeah.
and all of that. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And that was the site that Harhari sent me.
Yeah.
And then I saw that you had these red light panels, and I said, oh, that's cool. But like you said, there's a lot of great red light companies. But then I looked at the prices, and there's like a red light bed on there that's
Yeah.
like 99 grand. And I
Yeah.
was like, I mean, they're usually 150 for some of these that they have in spas. So
Right.
that wasn't shocking. But even the smaller ones were substantially more expensive
Yeah.
than some of the other ones that are on the market. So what's the deal with the red light? You've alluded to it a little bit. Is there anything we missed in that?
You could make your own supplements with it. I mean, you're getting it right now. You're not really if you want red light, obviously you can get it somewhere else cheaper. But the reason why one, I'm using really the highest quality technology I can get in there. But you're really buying this because not you want red light, but because you want, and you go on the web, you'll list see all the digital ingredients is like over 30 plus. So just that thing there for you, you could, if you had a spa or clinic or health retreat or whatever, someone lays in there, they pay $200 for 10 minutes. It's more than enough. They're definitely going to be coming back and they'll be like, this is too cheap for what the results I am getting. Um, we had just one case, they drank the methylene blue, sat in front of that red light for 10 minutes, pain level 12 being the worst. This one individual in Arizona, Phoenix, where I'm moving to, horrible, like pain level 12 being the worst. These are the numbers she used, 12 being the worst, going down, shooting, stringing down here. She tried everything and anything. We put her in front of that, which is really the red. We're using the red light to carry the data.
Got
We
it.
put her in
Okay.
front of that, delivering all the ingredients that are listed there on the website. So it's biophotonically delivering that. She drank the methylene blue, so it opened up the gateway and she could absorb it. And so let's just heavy dose her. Normally I'd be like 10 minutes and that's enough. But she sat in front of her 45 minutes. She went from 12, in her words, 12 being the worst to a 2. That was
Wow.
significant.
Wow.
She came back the next day. We did another 45-minute session. She was at 0. She was crying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No other red light will do that.
Right. So
Yeah.
this is because of the frequencies that are
Correct.
imprinted, like
Right.
you said, and there's the red light is essentially a carrier wave
Carrier,
for all
right.
these photonic nutraceuticals.
Biophotonic. Yeah, this is actually the first time this has ever been said in anywhere on recording. Biophotonic nutraceutical, actually be biophotonic infoceutical red light therapy delivery device.
Wow. We need an acronym for that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool, man. Wow. Wow. What a fun conversation, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you, Luke.
much.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
thank you
great.
so much for joining me here today.
Yeah.
I'm like
Oh,
buzzing.
did you do yeah, how'd the, laws on
I did. I put it
how's,
on I put it about my head and face. Yeah, it feels cool, man. I mean, I don't know if you could top sitting in front of this light for
yeah,
what have we got? An hour and a half. I've been in front of this thing with the methylene blue and the
here,
coffee.
have one
So,
of,
oh, the special gummies.
yeah,
Is this the OG corn syrup and sugar one?
yeah,
Okay, good.
very unhealthy.
Guys, I just ate corn syrup on the show.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah,
fascinating, man. Well, before we go,
yeah,
I got one more question for you.
sure.
Who have been 3 teachers or teachings that have influenced your work that you want to share with us today?
Uh, Number 1, well, I can't say one's better than the other. They're all
It
amazing.
doesn't have to be a hierarchical
Yeah, right, yeah,
list.
it's just influential.
Yeah.
Bob Coley with the genius of flexibility, you should have him on. That guy is amazing. He has the genius of you could look him up on the genius of flexibility, how your DNA is wired with your personality type. Massively deep dive stuff. That would be one of the 3 amazing. God, there's just so many. Um, well, Bruce Lipton, epigenetics. I mean, that's like a no brainer there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to pick. And then who would be the third? I mean Tesla.
Nice.
I mean that would be my. There are many others, and some are living today. I would have them
Yeah.
say, "Why didn't you mention my name?" But just the 3 streaming right now, with those would be pretty amazing. Yeah,
Awesome, man. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
yeah.
And we've had Bruce Lipton on the show, by the way. We'll,
Okay,
we'll put that in the show notes for
yeah,
everyone to go back and listen to. That was a few years ago. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to
yeah,
join me. And like I said, when I met you, I just thought, you know what? I need a longer conversation with him and also one that's not just for me and my inspiration
yeah,
and education, but one we can share with people. So thank you for that. And thank you for also balancing the light spectrum in this room from these toxic blue
oh
lights
yeah,
that I'm sitting under. I'm like, man, I need to have one of these on all the time,
yeah,
for obviously the benefits, but it was just so nice to sit here and have
yeah,
some of that juicy balanced light in the room. All right, man. Well, thank you. I think
yeah.
that's
Thank you.
it. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thank you, brother.